In April 2021, after spending a few weeks in the hospital after his birth, Keon was taken to LaDonia's apartment complex and introduced to his siblings. Keon's father, Carl, also lived at the apartment but moved out, not long after Keon was born. She wished she had never had his child and threatened to make Carl's life a living hell by turning him over to Child Protective Services. LaDonia also threatened to place Keon in the child welfare system, just like Carl's previous partner had done with his other 3 children. 2 days later, LaDonia asked Carl to fetch Keon, but for reasons unknown, he did not. The next day, on May 5th, LaDonia told Carl that the DC Child and Family Services Agency had taken Keon into custody and that he would be gone for a long time. On May 6th, Carl called the National Center for Children and Families to try and locate Keon. Just like CFSA, they had no record of Keon in their system. Carl then called the local CFSA and reported Keon as missing. He also told them that LaDonia had been regularly using or a dissociative anesthetic that can cause hallucinations, paranoia, and lapse in clear thinking. On May 7th, a social worker arrived at LaDonia's apartment. When the social worker questioned her about Keon's whereabouts, LaDonia claimed that a CPS lady had taken the infant due to an anonymous tip about her use. The other children at the residence were interviewed and repeated LaDonia's statements. They also told the social worker that the last time they saw Keon was on May 4th. Because CFSA did not have any record of Keon in their custody, the social worker called the police and alerted them to Keon's bizarre disappearance. LaDonia reiterated her claims that a woman in a blue Toyota had taken Keon. She added that the woman didn't have an official badge, but that the woman had taken Keon and all of his belongings at 11 p.m. on May 4th, and that the other children in the residence were outside playing at the time. But LaDonia backtracked on her statement, realizing that it would be unlikely for the children to be outside that late at night. Instead, she claimed the removal happened during the day. She told police that the woman was named Wanda Davis, but once again, changed her story, claiming that instead of CFSA receiving an anonymous tip, Carl had actually told Wanda to take Keon. After police contacted Wanda and Wanda confirmed that she did not have Keon, LaDonia continued to change her story over and over again. She also claimed to have been sober for a year, but then said that she had taken 4 months earlier. When police asked for Carl's contact number, she said she had no known number but later handed over his number, claiming she hadn't spoken to him in 4 months. As the hours passed, LaDonia's story continued to unravel. LaDonia then claimed she had given Keon to her godmother, but had no contact information for her. Police tracked down relatives of LaDonia to see if anyone had possibly taken Keon, but it was a dead end. The little boy had vanished. Police then searched LaDonia's apartment for Keon, but there was no sign of him, nor any sign that he had ever resided there. On the evening of May 7th, police released an alert for the missing child. The next day, LaDonia called the police, claiming that she had more information. This time, LaDonia said that on May 4th, Keon was in bed with her. She was lying on her right side while Keon was lying on his stomach between her body and the wall. She claimed that she fell asleep, and when she woke up, she found that she had rolled on top of Keon, and he was unresponsive. When the incident occurred, LaDonia had taken and she told detectives she thought she had hallucinated. After LaDonia had told detectives what had occurred, she agreed to do a Facebook Live interview with a local missing persons activist and news station. To everyone's surprise, including Carl, who was present at the interview, she admitted that she had woken up to find that Keon was no longer breathing. LaDonia claimed that she walked around the block a few times, panicking about what she was going to do next. When she returned to the apartment, Keon was still in the same state as she had left him. She then wrapped baby Keon in a blue blanket, placed him in his car seat, and took it outside, throwing it into the dumpster. Keon Jones had only been in LaDonia's care for 5.5 weeks before he died and was thrown away like garbage. Before police could check the dumpster for its contents, it had already been cleared. The search began for Keon's body, with search teams scouring nearby dump sites and garbage trucks within the DC area. LaDonia was arrested on May 14th for homicide and tampering with evidence. But without Keon's body, prosecutors could not charge her with homicide, and instead, she was only charged with tampering with evidence. She was released the next day and scheduled to return to court on November 19, 2022. In the meantime, she was ordered to have no unsupervised contact with any of her children. While awaiting trial, LaDonia was still residing at the apartment on Benning Road. It was on April 27, 2022, that police were called to the apartment in the early hours of the morning. There, in the bedroom, they found LaDonia. She had been stabbed several times in the stomach and her right calf. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Surveillance cameras set up in the complex showed Carl exiting the building with a knife and a bloody carpet. He threw both into the dumpster, just as LaDonia had done with her youngest child's body. Carl was subsequently arrested and charged with second-degree homicide. When asked by a judge if he had killed LaDonia, he reportedly responded, "If I did, would I be wrong for doing that?" He admitted that the pair had argued over Keon's death, and the stabbing occurred soon after. In December, he pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter and was sentenced to 9 years in prison. The failures in the system, from missed warnings to inadequate responses, highlight the need for improved support and intervention for individuals struggling with and mental health challenges. Today, we still don't know if Keon's death was an accident or something premeditated. His body has still not been found,